Good morning. So nice as always to share the morning with you as you watch 3+U today. If you or someone you know right now is struggling with mental health, that seems to be a very commonly talked about subject. Perhaps it's depression, perhaps it's PTSD, perhaps it is something like a bad marriage and you're just thinking, I don't know where to turn. You're in luck this morning because there is a brand new business that is going to get you very interested in Chattanooga. So happy to have Chase Whitmire on. He is the new owner of Cereset, which is fascinating to me. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
when
you
I say you're brand new,
me.
Opened in July, you're as brand new as they
come.
Yeah,
we are brand new.
But the business is not. Cereset has been around for 20 years?
That's right, at least 20 years. The technology has been even longer. But Cereset in name has been around since 2018, and that's really when it shifted from just a one location in Scottsdale, Arizona. And really the vision of it spreading was this franchise model where the founder said, I want and believe that everyone should be able to experience the healing power of this technology.
So we're going to get in the weeds a little bit, but let me see if I can set this up because Chase just kind of gave me the 101 on it. So the founder, who was in Scottsdale, was a computer guy, computer science, also had been to seminary. Is that right?
That's right.
So he had the spiritual element to him.
Yeah.
And he himself suffered a traumatic brain injury and struggled like so many people will for years with the trial and error of finding a fix.
That's right.
Finally, he decided that he had this own knowledge of how, as a computer, it can teach itself sort of, and the brain is kind of that.
Yeah.
So the idea behind this is to allow the brain essentially to heal its own self.
That's
Is
perfect.
That right?
That's perfect. Yeah, and his whole theory was, with all this trial and error of trying to find relief for himself, was, the theory was the brain is the central healing unit of the body. When we get a cut on our arm, the brain is what is orchestrating all that the body needs to heal that wound. And so his theory was the brain is what needs to heal itself. And so this technology, what in essence it does is allow the brain to see itself in a mirror and to see where it's out of balance, where it's stuck, either in that fight or flight stage or a freeze stage. And then the brain is the one that does the work. Instead of us trying to manipulate and figure out what we need to do, the brain is the one that orchestrates the whole process.
Years ago, I mean, probably as many as 15 years ago, I was on my own journey with a brain injury situation in my family, and I remember I would talk to just anybody I could talk to. And I was talking to a doctor here in town who happened to be on the show. He wasn't even in neurology, but I was talking to him nonetheless. And he told me then that what we knew in medicine then of the brain was so limited and that it was kind of the final frontier in medicine. And he said, you watch, you're going to see as so many new developments come about. So this makes total sense to me because the brain is a malleable thing.
That's right.
We just don't allow it time to adapt. Is that sometimes true?
I think so, and neuroplasticity is what you're talking about, and that's why therapies like EMDR and neurofeedback, where it's trying to get the brain to function more the way it was created to function, and that's that left to right, bihemispherically. Yeah, and so with this technology, we're allowing the brain to do that.
So you brought a visual tool
with you.
I'll let you kind of hold
books.
it up. Yeah. So what you were telling me is that when somebody comes in, and I mentioned it at the beginning, it could be for PTSD. You see the whole post-COVID freeze that a lot of people have, young people especially.
That's right.
A lot of anxiety.
Yep.
Does it help with things even as, quote, simple
as that? It does. It's amazing what happens when our brain is functioning the way it was created to work. And so sleep is a huge reason that people come in for Cereset. Because when we're not sleeping, our brain is not functioning the way it needs to function. Those are some of the things that people would come in for.
The first one I'm seeing here, and it's got like warning, warning, danger, Will Robinson on it, of stress. We live with so much stress, and we used to live in a society where you would reference it as, quote, just stress. No such thing, right, Chase? It's debilitating.
It is, and I think prolonged stress over a long period of time, which is more probably the stress that you're talking about. We're not talking about the bear coming out of the woods and chasing us.
This Traffic on the way to work.
That's right. This is the prolonged stress that eventually, there's all kinds of studies on the effects of stress on our bodies. You know, heart disease, cancer, all the things that prolonged stress can cause. Absolutely.
On the brain side of it, I was told once that prolonged stress can build up cortisol levels, which then can affect memory, brain fog, all types of things. And so then you're wondering kind of what happened to yourself, and that causes more stress.
That's right. Yep, it's a vicious cycle. It really is. And that's what this graphic is showing, that prolonged stress over time, what it does is our brains get stuck in these patterns. And so if you can imagine the neuropathways in kind of a wagon rut type scenario between the left and right brain, when we have this prolonged stress over a long period of time, the brain gets stuck either in the gas is all the way on, this fight or flight, and honestly over time as the brain experiences this fight or flight,
you can put it down.
It gets to a place where it can no longer do that. It's got to preserve itself and goes into that freeze state.
Okay, so I don't want to talk so much in theory that I forget to get to the particulars of how this works. In terms of a time commitment, you ask that people come in for 2 hours at a stretch for essentially 5 sessions.
That's right.
And then you're on your own with this kind of 3-week reset time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So you do 4 sessions, 4 days in a row. That's right. About an hour and a half to 2 hours each session. And during those sessions, we have 4 high-resolution sensors that are reading your brain waves, amplitudes, and then the computer, there's an algorithm that's just assigning computer-generated sound tones to your brain waves. And then each client, as they're in the chair, zero-gravity chair, listening, they're in essence listening to their own brain waves. And so the brain begins to recognize, oh, this is me. And it like I was saying earlier, like when you're tuning a guitar string and you have a sound that you're matching to, you can tell when you're low, and so you start tuning it up and trying to find that resonance, that middle place. And in essence, that's what the brain's doing, is it's listening to itself, is trying to find center where it was created to be.
I want to be careful how I say this, because everyone, I would hope, approaches a problem with the best intent to solve it. But it seems like we went through a phase where there was a lot of treating the symptom and not understanding the cause. So this is about as customizable, if you will, as you can come, because all it's doing is listening to your own brain, not somebody else's theory of your brain.
Exactly. Yeah, we're trusting that again, the theory is that the brain is the central healing unit of the body, and we're trusting the brain to know what it needs, not comparing it to the normal brain or the right brain. We're just saying we believe that the brain is the central healing unit of the body, and it can do the work.
So as we age, our body just naturally ages, right? We're not at 50 what we were at 20.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does our brain just kind of go through that too? I mean, it's easy to think about the extreme cases benefiting from this, but at some point, can everybody kind of use a reset?
Absolutely. And everybody, it's interesting, you note as we get older, there's a lot of scientific research out on our brain and how it ages. And really there's a new study of the effects of long-term, long-haul COVID as well on the front left quadrant and the right rear quadrant of the brain, and how as we age, those quadrants begin to atrophy and shrink, which can lead to long-term memory issues and short-term memory issues. And some of the stuff that we do within Cereset sessions is allowing the brain just to listen specifically to that front left and right rear quadrant. And so it's almost like it's exercising the parts of our brain that naturally start to wane as we grow older.
So I know that you just brought this to Chattanooga in July. I won't make you tell the story because it's a bit of an intimate one, but you know somebody who you saw personally benefit from this, which caused you to then take this step. Do you just see miraculous stories? Do people end up coming off of medicines because of this? Or I think you told me about marriages healed over it, lots of things.
It is, again, it's amazing what happens when our brains are functioning the way that they are created to function. So the downstream symptoms that people are experiencing sometimes go totally away, sometimes lessen. It is, every person is different, every brain is different, and the responses to this are different from every person. But the answer to short answer to your question is yes. We have seen wonderful things happen for people.
What happens in the 3 weeks? You've gone through the 5 sessions and now it's the 3 weeks. What's happening?
Yeah, so we call that that 3-week period between your 4th and 5th session. That's our integration period. And so during the first 4 sessions that people are hearing their brain and being mirrored, the brain starts to rewire itself. It starts to find and create new neural pathways to where it is functioning bihemispherically. And then over that 3-week integration period, we are walking with our clients, kind of coaching them along the way. But that's when those new neural pathways are solidifying and really starting to take hold and grow. And then that 5th session, 3 weeks later, we do another baseline brain observation and then have one final mirroring session before.
Each case, I guess, is going to be different, but in general, is the idea that you do this and then you just kind of live your life, or are repetitive sessions?
Yeah, and so in a vacuum, yes, you would do, and generally speaking, in 5 sessions, the brain is pretty well balanced. The problem is we are continuing to be subjected to ongoing stressors,
life is
traumas,
real.
Life happens. And so typically a lot of folks will view Cereset like they do the dentist, so even some preventative care. So once every 6 months coming in, we call them tune-ups. And so it's just a one-off. You don't go through the whole 5 sessions again.
Okay.
But once every 6 months or a year, people, and what I have experienced is people start to recognize in 6 months down the line, I feel like I'm slipping into some old patterns.
Right.
If you can use the wagon rut image, my car is going off the track again into these old ways, and so that's when you would probably want to come in and have a tune-up.
It is a fascinating conversation. He came to us, by the way, because the Chamber said, look, he's a new member of the Chamber, you ought to talk to Chase. So here's his information. It's Cereset.com. You'll find his office on Broad Street. The phone number 654-7310. Can people make an appointment with you either online or by calling?
Calling us is the way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nice to see you.
Julie, great to meet you. Thank you.
Have you received your upfront in writing guaranteed sale agreement at your price? Hi, this is Tracy King with your home sale guaranteed realty, King's Real Estate Team. For your guaranteed sale price, call or text 423-460-9842.
Chef Lynn Buffet in East Ridge has fully reopened the buffet. Enjoy a large array of delectable dishes like seafood, fresh sushi, and grilled-to-order hibachi. Chef Lynn, the perfect place to visit with family and friends for a delicious lunch, brunch, or dinner. The past few months have not been easy for anyone, but Chef Lynn is so thankful for your support over the past 20 years, even during